Alright, so this should be my last video for this series, and this is where I'm going to talk about this adventuring handbook or adventure handbook or whatever you want to call it. Right, so this is actually a really cool thing. In my opinion, it's work intensive, yes, but once you've got it done, it's done, and you don't have to really keep going back. And it's a heck of a lot faster, in my opinion, than having to look at to basically have a PDF open and then have to scroll through that. Right, PDFs are a little bit unfortunately cumbersome when it comes to that, and they're not quite as good as replicating that sort of physical book feel. Right now. Maybe you've got a tablet, maybe you've got a second computer, I don't know, but and that might work for you. But for me, this works the best. So, what am I doing here? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is in this kind of I've created a folder for this AP, and I'm going to basically in here I'm going to create a handout. So let's do that. All right, we've got a mysterious note. Uh, and here we're going to edit that note, and we're going to call this, adventure journal. Now, obviously, you're going to call it whatever makes sense to you. Um, but for our purposes, we're just going to call that an adventure journal. It's not in anybody's, right? The only person you're going to want to see is you, right? And then if you would like to, for example, have a nice cover or for it, have a little icon, find an icon, drop it in there, and it'll show. And here, this descriptions and notes. Don't worry about the GM notes, right? Because you're not showing this to anybody. This descriptions note, that's where you're going to be doing all of your work, okay? So, make it big, whatever. And what you're going to do is basically type out the table of contents. All right, so I'm just going to make some stuff up, but let's just imagine that we've got, this is called, Rise of the Rune Lords. This is another fantastic AP. And then we've got, Chapter 1. And then we've got, maybe some introduction into the town of Sandpoint. And then we've got Encounter 1. It's called the Swallowtail Festival. Okay, so let's say this is maybe it's a really short adventure, whatever. That's fine. So we've got all of these points. Now you can, of course, do things like Rise of the Rune Lords. You can, for example, choose to make this a header 1, make it really big. You could make this one, say, I don't know, header 2, all this kind of stuff, right? This is all very basic um, Google Google Docs, sort of any kind of rudimentary um, rudimentary text editing software, right? Anything can do all this. Now, how do I link things? Okay, so I can put direct HTML links, web links, I'm sorry, whatever they're called, URLs, by clicking the link, insert link or unlink, that part's all the same. I can add tables, although again, it's kind of crappy. I can change the the highlight color of a particular text. I can change the color of the text itself. So let's say you want to get that nice effect where it looks like background white text. You can do that as well. Right, pretty easy stuff. Whoops, that's not helpful. Let's do that. Oops, what happened there? Let's try that, and let's go like that. All right, so we're back to normal. Now, how do we actually link these? How do we actually link these handouts? How do I get that nice sort of underlined blue formatting? Well, you can't do that here. What you would have to do is you're going to enclose each part that you want in single square brackets. Okay. Now, so let's say I've got, I need to write something for each one of these things. Okay, done. All right. Save those changes. All right. Doesn't really look like anything's changed, right? That's fine because it hasn't yet. What you're going to do now is go here, back to your whatever, your folder. You're going to add a new handout here. You're going to add a new handout. And in that handout, what you're going to do is you're going to edit, and you're going to make sure that the name is exactly the same. So this is for chapter 1. Somebody apparently wants to really get hold of me. You need to make sure that the name of your document, of your handout, is exactly the same as the what you've got in your original document. So it's got to say the exact same thing. Chapter 1, same formatting, same capitals, same everything. Got to be exactly the same. And then we would say hi, and then you would put in the text, relevant text here. relevant text here, right? And of course, you can make things bold, italicize, strike out. You can create lists or indents, all sorts of things like that. And then you would save changes. Okay, so now you've got this chapter 1 document. Close that down and go back to here. You're going to edit and just save. And look what's happened. Now we've got a link. When we click on that link, the relevant that handout shows up. Okay, so let's just quickly do that for the other ones because it's sort of very nice and demonstrative. So let's edit. We're going to call this one Sandpoint. And this is the town where the action happens. Save changes. Okay, and we're going to make one more handout called the Swallowtail Festival. Again, exactly the same as you would write as is in your original document. Down here, right? You don't have to put in the closed brackets. Don't put in those brackets. Those brackets only come up in your original document. Now you can also link, for example, other documents within here. So I could, for some reason, say, like in chapter 1, we introduced the town or the story. This is the first encounter. Encounter, something like that, whatever, right? And here we go. Same thing. We actually link that. It'll actually link. All right, so we go back to our adventure journal. We're going to edit and just save. And something happened. What happened? The Swallowtail Festival. The Swallowtail. What did I screw up here? Swallowtail Festival. I don't know what I screwed up. Well, let's make sure. Copy. Let's just copy and paste, yeah. Save changes. Let's close that down. Save changes. That's weird. Not sure why that's anyway. You'll have to take my word for it. My word for it that it's going to work. Let's try that again. There you go. Oh, it's weird. I don't know. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes maybe you just need to redo those square back brackets. But as you can see, we've now got this kind of table of contents, and you can be as rudimentary as you want or as anal as you want. But I find that it's easier to look at smaller, discrete chunks of text rather than looking at large and long pages where you're going to lose track of what's going on. So I like to make sure that every time, essentially, there is a new heading within the adventure itself. You just basically make a new page. Now, I mentioned, I think, all the way in the first video that the more crap that you have in this journal section, the slower things are going to be. And that's true here as well. So what you can actually do is you can right-click, archive all of this stuff. Archive it all. So all you've got left is this thing. You click on this, but you're still able to access all of this stuff, right? You're still able to access it all. And even this one, right? All accessible. It's just simply not loaded. All it's doing is you're calling on that, and you're just loading that up in here when you need it to, and that's it. Doing that is completely up to you, of course. I do it because it's also a great way for me to review the adventure beforehand, and so I know where I'm going and what's going on. But of course, your mileage may vary completely with that. All right, and that's it. That's it. I think that's all I've got for my tutorials. If you've got any other questions, let me know, and I might do a subsequent video, but I think that covers most of the workflow. I didn't include this as part of the original 3 because this is something that I do more or less once a month or whenever I need to prepare a large chunk of the adventure, and then I don't come back and revisit the adventure journal at all. And of course, same with the music. That's more or less like a one-time thing that you need to set up, so it's not part of my normal like week-to-week preparation. That is to summarize, once again, it's making the maps, doing the light blocking, setting up the dynamic lighting, setting up the actual light sources, creating tokens, creating character sheets to associate with those tokens, and that's generally my preparation. So, all right. So thank you for watching, and well, if you got any questions, please let me know.